Okay, so if you were hoping for a quick year-end getaway to the UK, well, you might want to think again because things may have just gotten a little bit more expensive. The pound versus the dollar has risen to its highest levels so far this month, just earlier today. And in fact, it has strengthened against all of its G10 peers in the currency space. Why is it rising right now? Although it's been tumbling back down a little bit as we speak, but we're going to dive right into it to kind of give you an idea about what the pound is doing, why it's behaving, and of course, the latest on your favorite asset classes like Bitcoin, gold, and so much more. Hello, 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 and welcome to this daily live stream by Bybit Learn. My name is Han Tan. I'm the Chief Market Analyst. So we are now live on YouTube and X. I can confirm that we are indeed streaming live on YouTube. Well done. Let me just get quick confirmation that we are indeed live on X as well. Again, these are on the Bybit Learn platforms, and you can find us at Bybit_Learn on X. And then on YouTube, make sure you, well, if you're watching there now, of course, great. If not, if you're watching on X, spread the word, right? We're also on YouTube. You got to type in Bybit Learn Official and then click on the live tab on YouTube. Okay, enough explaining. Let's get right to this. I'm going to pull up the chart for GBPUSD right now. So although it may not look like much on the let me try a different view here. There we go. This one. All right. So although it may not look like much on the charts here, again, this is the daily time frame. Yeah, 1 day. So this candlestick chart, that means each of these candlesticks or long bars represents how GBPUSD, that's the British pound versus the US dollar, has performed in that one single day, right? So this is again the 1 day time frame. You can change the time frames either by, if you're using the Bybit web trading platform, you can go to the upper left hand side and select 1 hour, 4 hours, down to 1 minute, whatever time frame you want. If you're using the Bybit app, it's over on the right side. You're just going to look for the settings button and you can see all those options there. Okay, so this is the 1 day daily time frame. So although it doesn't look like much, but this is notable because up here at the top part of the wick at its highest level today, it was the highest that we have seen really so far this month, right? We haven't seen it at 1.32226 since October 30th. Right now, why is this happening? Because right now, even as we speak, I believe the UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves is delivering her budget speech. This is something that markets have been looking forward to for months now. And if you look at this chart, right, GBPUSD has been weakening, right, for the past couple of months because initially markets were fearful that, okay, the UK government has to raise income taxes, and that could weigh down the British economic growth, right? But then, having said that, there was some drama before the speech today, and we'll zoom in on the chart here down to, let's say, the 1 hour time frame here, and that drama caused GBPUSD to swing quite wildly. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, see if we can really demonstrate this, right? So here we go. This is the 1 hour time frame for GBPUSD. But look at these long wicks here, okay? So keep in mind that the speech started at in this candlestick at 12:30 p.m. GMT, right? And look at this long candlestick, and even before the speech happened. And that's because there was actually some official numbers that weren't supposed to be released until now. Well, it got accidentally released early on. So markets latched onto it. That's what happens when you don't pay attention to the markets, right? Things happen so fast, you got to be aware. Although, heads up, we gave you a preview of this event even from last Friday. Okay, don't believe me? Check out the live stream that we have on X and on YouTube Live, right? And then you can see that we had actually highlighted this is something to watch today. Okay, and sure enough, there was some drama even before the speech, leading up to the speech, and even after the speech, that's when it hit 1.3226, right? The highest levels that we have seen since late October. Right, so all these swings right now, that's what it looks like in the 1 hour chart. If you zoom out down to like 15 minutes, then you'll see, right, it's a lot more noticeable. okay, the drama that came, as opposed to the candlesticks, all those 15 minutes period before that, right? A lot smaller candlesticks compared to these big moves here. Okay, so if you were a short-term trader or an intraday trader, this clearly, was something to have taken note of leading up to the speech at 12:30 p.m. GMT. And we wrote about it also in our daily bit. Let me just show you how to get to it when you go to bybit.com. Right? Or the quick way is to just memorize this URL. It's learn.bybit.com. Again, that's learn.bybit.com. But the manual way, how do you get to it from the main bybit.com website? You'll see learn across the top there, right? So let me zoom in a little bit, right? You see learn, too much. Let's go back here. There we go. Learn, right? Up here. Okay, you see that learn? Click on Bybit Learn. And then you'll see the URL change to learn.bybit.com. Click on blog and you can click on daily bits. Now, this is where we give you an update on what's happening in the markets every single day. All right. And then here we go. Right. I written about GBPUSD even from this morning, Dubai time. Definitely way early in the morning if you're watching from the UK, or early afternoon for those of you in Asia. Right. So this was published today, and I'd already highlighted that GBPUSD was something to watch. Okay, so indeed it duly delivered, although quite unexpectedly, that drama before the speech. And then we had already mentioned, right, about the potential 1.324 upper target. This target has been there since last Friday, right? So it got that much closer, although it's pulling back away slightly. We've got a couple more days to go in the week. This was the weekly target, so we'll see if it actually gets there, right? But yeah, all this focus on the $20 billion fiscal hole, right? And I'll give you some key takeaways from the speech is in just a bit, which is still ongoing. So there's actually plenty to digest right now. But going back to the chart here, which is what we are mainly focused on, right? So 50 minutes coming back down slightly as markets are still digesting what Rachel Reeves is saying. Let me just go back to the daily time frame. Yikes. Let me just rearrange my chart here. Give me 1 second, folks. Let's try and do this. Come on now. Yep, there we go. All right, cool. So here's what it looks like. Okay, so as things stand, right? I mean, I know markets are swinging about wildly. I'll just try to give you some live numbers here. The British pound is still the second best performing G10 currency versus the US dollar so far this week. Which is the first one, the best performing so far this week? Well, it's the New Zealand dollar, but we'll talk about that another day. Right now, the focus is on GBPUSD. Definitely the British pound is a lot more popular among retail traders. And so this is something to watch, still moving. But then looking at the daily charts, right, here's another interesting note as well. Notice how prices react around that big psychological number of 1.3200. Okay, remember, if you have been watching these live streams for a while now, I always talk about how the psyche of traders are often impacted by these big round numbers. In simple terms, it's easier to put in 1.3200 into order sheets for buy and sell orders, right? But notice how it has acted as resistance really since October 30th, right? You look at this. I guess I can draw some highlights there for you guys to make it easier to spot. So that's one, right? Prices trying to go above it, but then was rejected. That's what you call resistance. Okay, think of a ceiling. When prices hit the resistance, it comes back down. Okay, as opposed to a floor, think of a support, a floor, right? Prices hit that floor and then goes back up. That's support versus resistance. 1.3200 has been this stern resistance really since end October. All right, you saw that on October 30th. You saw that again around here on November 13th and 14th, and we saw it again yesterday and even right now as we speak. All right, so whether or not GBPUSD can conquer this big round resistance number of 1.3200 before eventually hitting our target of 1.3240. To be clear, none of this is financial advice. Okay, we're just calling the markets as we see it based on the different tools and guides and data that we have got here at our disposal at Buy a Bit Learn. But we want to share those insights with you. Hopefully that you can make better informed decisions, not just on your potential vacation plans. I'll be watching this. I was initially thinking of going to the UK this weekend. We got a long weekend here in Dubai coming up, 4-day weekend. I thought of just heading on over, but then, well, maybe this one might be kind of putting some ice on those plans here. Not a winter related pun about ice, but yes, so maybe got a little bit more expensive. We'll see how this fares over the not just the hours ahead, but the weeks ahead as well. Okay, so that's GBPUSD right now, testing resistance yet again at 1.3200, but still earlier today, just minutes ago, hitting its highest levels so far this month on the back of Rachel Reeves' announcement. Now, what did she say? Let me kind of pull up another chart for you so that it you can get a snapshot of some of the key takeaways so far. Okay, let's see this right one. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so here's what I mentioned earlier, right? And I showed you earlier on the 15 minutes chart, right? So markets was swinging, right? Even prior to the speech, right? Because the OBR had accidentally released the budget figures early. Go figure, right? Because normally we wouldn't even be seeing those numbers until after the speech ends, or just about when the speech ends. So some key takeaways just from those numbers. So you've got inflation that's expected to tick higher in the UK, but then in terms of economic growth, it is expected to be weaker than expected. So not exactly a good recipe, not just for the government, but also for the UK central bank, which is called the Bank of England. But still, there was more relief in the UK bonds market and also UK currency markets, GBPUSD, because of some of these headline numbers. What is that headline number? So Reeves has managed to raise the fiscal buffer or headroom to about 22 billion. Okay, so that's higher than the 9.9, or no more than double than the 9.9 billion that was that they had back in March of this year, and it's also the biggest that they have had since 2022, right? So all that means is that markets have greater confidence that, okay, at least the UK government is not being too reckless with its spending plans and taxing plans, right? They are being a bit more responsible with a bigger buffer, a bigger headroom to spare, right? So again, markets are growing more confident. So that's why, they are inclined to buy the British pound, sent it up to as high as its highest level so far this month, just minutes ago, but then also pouring into UK bonds markets. Yields are coming down slightly, right? And because of that responsibility, on the flip side, again, governments have to tax to raise money, right? So, she's raising taxes to almost $30 billion, or, increased more tax revenue by about $30 billion on things like gambling and prime real estate, etc. So, I mean, there's a lot more to come out, right? And I haven't really had a chance to just look at it on a tick by tick basis here. It involves everything from energy bills to home prices. Yeah, so lots to consider. The big thing was that the income tax thresholds were frozen as opposed to it being adjusted so that the government could collect taxes. So that was a big fear, right? So when that early accident happened before the speech, so markets took delight in that and pushed the pound higher. Okay, so yeah, these are some main takeaways. Of course, as things settle after the speech, then hopefully we'll get more analysis, and that will kind of inform our decision, or at least our near-term outlook for GBPUSD, and whether or not it might still be relatively cheaper, or if things have become more expensive to go to the UK for a year-end holiday. I would love some time at the Christmas markets there. But anyways, so that's what's happening right now. Yeah, and I'll show you this one. Okay, so this is the chart that we had shown since November 21st. I apologize for the date. Tell you what, let me just fix this on the fly. Well, I can't. Sorry. Let me just go back to this. Okay. Well, anyways, this was proof that we had actually shown this slide from Friday, 21st November. So if you don't believe me, well, again, just go back to the YouTube channel for Bybit Learn official. Okay, this is Bybit Learn, and you can click on the live tab and you can see all of our live streams every single weekday there. Check out the one on November 21st, right? And you can see this exact slide. Obviously, the big difference is I've just changed the text here in the middle to red. Okay, but we had given you guys a heads up from last week. And then of course we had other stuff as well that we've been covering in other live streams. You can check those out. For example, tomorrow, keep in mind, US markets will be closed tomorrow for Thanksgiving Day. So if you're looking to trade stocks, perhaps today's the day before you get to get in before being locked out for Thursday. And yes, we do offer US stocks on Bybit TradFi. That's TRADFI. That's short for traditional finance. I'll show you how to get to all those in a bit. TradFi includes stocks, gold, even GBPUSD, beyond the plethora of crypto offerings that we have within the Bybit universe. Make sure you sign up for an account and go check those out. How do you sign up? And I'll make it sweeter for you guys. We do have this ongoing special giveaway for you guys just via these live streams. We've got 25,000 USDT in rewards. It's a prize pool that we have set aside just for these live streams. What do you have to do? Short answer, sign up for a Bybit account. How do you do that? First things first, scan the QR code that you see on the screen right now, or you can click on the link in the YouTube video description, or you can also check out our X account. Again, that's at Bybit_learn. These are the official social media platforms for Bybit Learn, right? You will see the link there all across our page and our description, right? Just click on it. It'll land you on a separate page on the Bybit or within the Bybit website, and you can just click on sign up through there. Okay. Now we also do say that it's not just 25,000 USDT in rewards. There's potentially more. Why more? Because when you scan that QR code or click on the link that I mentioned earlier, you will actually land. Sorry, not on this page, but I had it up here a second ago. Sorry, folks. Here we go. This one. You will actually be sent to this page because within this page, you've got a chance at a further 5,000 USDT in rewards. Okay. How do you get potentially your share of these extra 5,000 USDT? Well, we've got many tasks for you that you can complete, and it's pretty simple, right? Everything from sending in your documents so that we are compliant and we understand who you are. That's KYC, know your client, or as we call it here, verify your identity. Or you try trading a spot product that we have within the Bybit universe, or try the bots that we have, right? So many different ways, right? Invite a friend, even depositing, right? Over 100 USDT. You can check those out. Or even engaging with our content, right? Share our article on social media, like them, or even post your own article there as well, right? All that can get you points. And then you can see how you stack up against these leaders on the leaderboard, right, who have already taken advantage of these extra weekly prize pool of 5,000 USDT on top of the 25,000 USDT in trading vouchers that I want to give away to you. First things first, sign up, top left-hand corner here. If you forgot, just again, tap on the link in the YouTube description, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, or you can tap on the link in our X group. Okay. All right. So that's GBPUSD. Some headlines are crossing my Bloomberg terminal here now. So today's budget actually introduced 88 new policies, the most in about a decade, right? When it comes to UK government spending plans. So I know it may sound a lot like, especially if you're not used to looking at the markets and all that. So don't worry, I'm just drip feeding some of these key things to highlight here. But at the end of the day, this is what it looks like on GBPUSD. Right, so testing that 1.32 level, although just a few minutes ago it hit its highest levels that we have seen so far this month. Okay, that's GBPUSD. If you got any questions or comments, or any feedback, or or there's another asset or chart that you want to look at, by all means, feel free to let me know. I do have my YouTube live chart here open right now. For those of you who just joined, sorry, just know that we have got a special giveaway as well. You can rewind the video a little bit, or watch the live stream after the fact, right? I know that many more of you are actually watching this after the live stream ends, and that's totally fine. fine. Just know that this giveaway is still ongoing. Click on the link or scan the QR code, and then sign up, and you've got potentially your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards and more that I so want to give it away. Okay, that's GBPUSD. Let's do a quick check on some of the other more popular assets that you guys know and love. Right, so you got this is Bitcoin here. This is the daily time frame. And again, the reason I'm keeping them on the daily time frame is because, like I said, I know more of you are actually watching this after the live stream has ended, right, which is fine. So this I kind of keep things loose, right, and use it on a daily time frame. It's a longer time frame. That way it gives it more space for the charts or the prices to play out before potentially fulfilling the setups, right? And we've had so many setups already, since we've started doing these live streams about a couple of weeks ago, right? And anytime a setup is complete or target is pretty close, or sometimes as close to 0.03% or less, right? I think that's good enough whereby it's fulfilled that scenario. I then post about it on our X account. So again, just look for @bybit_learn. Okay, that's the official X account for Bybit Learn. Okay, but right now Bitcoin still struggling around 89K, right? So you notice this again, that big round number acting as resistance right there. Let me draw that. Nope, this isn't it. Sorry, wrong tool there, folks. And you can find all these really cool charting tools that we have, not just on the Bybit web trading platform, but also on the app as well. And let me change the color so that it pops out a little bit more. Wait, hang on. Give me a second, folks. I'm running out of real estate here. Let's try this. Yeah. Wait, why is it missing? I'm trying to change the color. There we go. Sorry, folks. Give me 1 second. Let's make it gold so it pops out a bit more. There we go. Okay, so Bitcoin, right, hit that 89,000 level before coming back down again. Big round number acting as resistance there. Now this is significant, right, because again, keep me in check. In the name of transparency, I'm going to refer to something that I had already shared with you guys from Friday. And let me just pull it up on the screen here. This was the setup for Bitcoin and gold that I have just presented in this nice clean table, right? There we go. Right. So on the right side there's a setup for Bitcoin. If it's going to the upside, you need a daily close above 89,000, right? Daily closing price. Right now, what we just saw on the Bitcoin chart was that it just hits it and it comes back down, resistance, right? You need to have this closing price above it before that's potentially a signal for bulls to chase Bitcoin prices up towards 95K. But of course, we know that this is a big ask, given that sentiment across the crypto space has been quite downcast, right? So this is perhaps the bigger ask. The other one, perhaps on the downside, was the bigger question is whether or not Bitcoin could be seeing those levels that we last saw back in March, April, back when the world was so worried about the potential damage from President Trump's trade tariffs, right? So that was a fear that sent not just crypto, but also stocks all falling, right? So these levels we haven't seen since April, and it got pretty close to it. So I think that'll be the bigger question about whether we could see these levels again. This one, perhaps the bigger ask, okay? Now we're checking gold here in a little bit. We're going to jump around a little bit, guys. So I know I've got about 5-6 minutes left, but gold prices, right? So you need the daily close above 9-day simple moving average. So this one actually got fulfilled. So it's almost like the trigger, right? Now could it hit 4,200? And it got really close. In yesterday's live stream, we spoke about this breakout. Okay, so this was the apparent signal. Now, if it's going to fulfill that scenario, right, look out for 4,200. Okay, and once it does, I'll be sure to update on X. That's @bybit_learn. Well, so the downside, this needed to happen. Okay, so real quick, I'll just show you one more thing about cryptos, and then we'll jump to the gold chart. So the reason I talk about how perhaps Bitcoin, perhaps the more pertinent question about it potentially revisiting these levels that we haven't seen since, again, March or April, right, is because there is this downcast sentiment across the crypto space. I'll just show you a couple of charts there. If you go to bybit.com, click on markets. Let me just zoom in right at the top of the menu right there, markets, you see, okay? Click on that, and then you will see, scroll down, sorry, key metrics right here. Oh, there we go. Well, hold on. I got to zoom back out a little bit to find my place here, folks. There we go. All right. So you see, you got this reading of 15 here of extreme fear, right? That's the market sentiment across cryptocurrencies right now. So in other words, markets are fearful. There's fear, there is pessimism, that it's harder to convince folks to really come in and just keep buying not just Bitcoin, but many of the different altcoins and tokens across the crypto space, right? Because of this prevailing fear, right? So hence it's been struggling to really push up or try to hang on to those gains. It's been more inclined to give up those gains and pull lower. So that downward bias, as we say in the markets, is still intact, given how downcast, how fearful market sentiment is right now. That's one, right? So that's where we are at with Bitcoin, struggling to even there we go, struggling to even break above that 89k psychological level. Now just kind of easing lower. Okay, that was Bitcoin. Let's look at gold. I hope by zooming in and out so much for you guys, I haven't really messed it up. So yeah, here we go, right? So again, this is the daily chart on XAUUSD, which is the another way of our ticker for gold prices. So this is the 1 day time frame. So see, again, bounce off that big round number 4,000, and there's rebounding since, broken above the 9 day simple moving average. I'll just draw that back in here, folks. This is the 9 day. Here we go, 9, and just make it thicker for you guys so you guys can see it. There we go. See how easy it is to make any changes to your charts on Bybit. So feel free to play around with all those tools. Yeah, again, available both on the website trading platform and also the Bybit app. Here we go. Yep, let me then zoom back in again. All right, so broke above it a couple of days ago, right? And then earlier today punched higher to its highest levels. I believe this is since let me try and get the timeline in there. This is highest level since November 14th, so about a week and a half now, right? Before paring back down lower. But again, we've got a couple more days for this setup. And look, I'm also willing to let it pass through into next week as well, right? Because there shouldn't be any major scheduled events left between now and next week. Markets are going to be off in the US tomorrow for Thanksgiving Day. Of course, on the flip side, when markets are quiet and liquidity is thin, that's when it's easier for a big order to just really move prices and see wild price swings, right? Before more people come back in after the Thanksgiving break and then find or have a fairer way of discovering prices. But that's where gold is right now. We've set the psychological level of 4,200 as a target. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll keep you posted here, not just on our daily live streams, but also on our website, right? For those of you who are just joining, right, again, you can find many of these on the learn.bybit.com website. I'll just show you how to get to that again. Tell you what, let me just go back to the main Bybit website. But otherwise, again, you can just remember learn.bybit.com, or on the app, right? Look for the services section and find Learn. Okay, and there's an icon for Learn in there, and you can find all the same stuff as well. So from bybit.com, I'll zoom in again for you guys so it's easier to see. Then you'll find Learn across the top of the menu, the toolbar. And click on Bybit Learn, right? And you can see our blog. Click on Daily Bits right here. Okay, Daily Bits. And then we've got articles, and see, I wrote about gold yesterday. Okay, already asking the question. Of course, we don't just cover some of these big TradFi assets like GBPUSD and gold and stock indices as well. We had written about Alibaba also from earlier this week, and that pretty much hit our price target yesterday during the earnings yesterday. But of course, there are still many opportunities across the crypto space. So you got Zion that was up 103% at the time when I was writing it. But let's do a check-in right now. I think it's way more than that. So at the start of today, it kind of bounced off near record low levels, right, of 0.33, and just look at how much it soared, right? Earlier today, I had written about how Zion was testing its, this was the chart, and this was GBPUSD earlier today, right? Still hovering below the 1.32 level. Certainly didn't print that new high that we saw month to date. That's GBP, and then here we go, right? So this is Zion. It was still testing that 100-day simple moving average as resistance. That's, oh, sorry. I'm just trying to zoom in to make it easier for you guys to see. There we go. Okay, cool. Right, so testing that 100-day simple moving average. This is a widely followed technical indicator that you can draw on your charts, both on the Bybit app and also on the Bybit website trading platform, right? But then that's earlier this morning, and look at where it is now, right? Even punched above its 200-day simple moving average as well. Went up to as high as $1.27. 1.2731, right? From near record lows of about 0.33, just really soared. You can find out more about why this token is soaring by checking out daily bits at learn.bybit.com, right? Basically, they are going to be, or they were listed on one of the biggest crypto exchanges in South Korea, so that got a lot of excitement, right? So not everything is falling, right? I know perhaps many of you are very focused on cryptos and Bitcoins, and it's been downcast. There's that extreme fear. But we here at Bybit Learn, we're trying to expand your horizons. Just know this, we are highlighting so many different opportunities, both going up and down, that you can potentially take advantage of, not just within cryptos, but across stocks, indices, gold, even oil prices. We did it last week. Currencies like GBPUSD that we've been focusing on today, right? So many more opportunities. So make sure you do not miss out. If nothing else, right? Maybe the main takeaway is perhaps that holiday to the UK. If you are planning to do so, like I initially was, maybe got that little less sweeter now because the pound is rising, perhaps making it more expensive for everybody. Okay, cool. We're almost to the end. Let me just do a quick check on some live numbers here. So GBPUSD is still the second best performing G10 currency against the US dollar so far this week. And then also so far this week, I believe the pound, yes, has strengthened against all of its G10 peers. I'm talking about stronger against the euro by about 0.3%, stronger against the Canadian dollar by 0.6, 0.7%, stronger against the Swiss franc, against the US dollar, against the Japanese yen by 0.9%, right? So that's the fallout or the effects from the ongoing UK autumn budget speech that, let's see if it has ended already. It looks like it has ended already, I believe. Okay, so it will be, at least for me, over dinner, I'll be going through more of those details to see if there's anything else I missed. But I've already showed you the key takeaways earlier in this live stream. You can just scroll back and check it out there, okay? All right, so that's pretty much it for today. No questions on YouTube. I'm just going to do a quick check on X to see if there's any folks here. Thank you, Tomiwa, for the like. Okay, cool. All right, and don't forget, you can stand a chance at getting your share of 25,000 USDT in rewards and potentially more just by signing up for Bybit via this QR code that you see on the screen, or also just click on the link that you can find on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe, and also on X at Bybit_learn. All right, I'll be back again later this week. So thank you all so much. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.